What makes a horror anthology terrifying? Is it the monsters that crawl out of the dark, or the strange, unexplainable things lurking just outside the corner of our vision? Maybe it's when the story takes a bold leap and twists familiar tropes into something new and horrifying. VHS Beyond asks us all those questions and then throws us into 6 wildly different nightmares. Some segments go full-on gore and chaos. Others play with slow burn psychological dread. And a few, well, they're just downright bizarre. But here's the thing. When you mix aliens, found footage, and the uniquely twisted minds of 7 directors, not every segment is going to hit the same way. Some are instant horror classics that might haunt your dreams for days, while others, despite creative ideas, don't quite stick the landing. That's the beauty of the VHS franchise. It's unpredictable, experimental, and unapologetically weird. So which stories truly stand out in VHS Beyond? Which ones stumbled despite their ambition? And which one might just be one of the best horror shorts we've seen in years? Welcome back to Your Nerdy Show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. Today we're ranking all 6 segments of VHS Beyond from worst to best, breaking down what worked, what didn't, and why some of these alien terrors belong among the scariest in the franchise.
Verified. Now the real work has to begin.
Abduction/adduction. Starting off our ranking is abduction/adduction. Now, let's get this out of the way. It's not a bad segment, but being the frame narrative of the movie really holds it back. Its whole purpose is to tie the other stories together, which means it constantly gets interrupted just when it starts to build tension. The premise itself is chilling. Paranormal investigators stumble upon found footage that reveals a man's home and his very body has been invaded by aliens. That sounds like a perfect recipe for creeping dread, right? The problem is, because this story is chopped into smaller pieces, the momentum dies each time we leave it for another segment. By the time it returns, the tension has to start building all over again, and that cycle keeps repeating until the finale. It's frustrating because if abduction/adduction had been told as one complete short film, it could have been fantastic. The final minutes are where the real payoff happens, with some solid scares and eerie imagery. But by then, viewers have already seen more effective horror in other parts of the movie. Still, there's one area where it really shines. Presentation. Framing the story as a documentary adds a meta layer that makes the rest of the anthology feel more believable, almost like we're watching real alien cases unfold. It's clever, unique, and even though it's the weakest overall, it earns respect for setting the unsettling tone of the entire movie. Fur Babies. Next up is Fur Babies, which definitely divides fans. This one throws the alien theme almost completely out the window and instead gives us a story about animal rights activists, a dog shelter, and one of the wildest, most disturbing villains in the anthology, Becky, played brilliantly by Libby Letlow. Becky isn't just a pet lover gone wrong. She's a full-on psychopath who transforms her enemies into dogs, both physically and psychologically. Yep, you heard that right. We're talking body horror, surgeries, and people essentially being turned into pets. It's grotesque, it's absurd, and it's oddly funny at times. Here's where the issues come in, though. The effects don't always hold up under the multiple camera angles. The VHS franchise usually thrives when it sticks to tight, believable found footage setups, but this one goes all over the place. Security cams, hidden cams, laptop feeds. Instead of adding realism, it kind of pulls you out of the horror and makes the effects look faker than they should. That being said, Letlow's performance as Becky is worth praising. She switches from sweet, friendly caretaker to sadistic abuser in seconds, and it's unsettling every single time. Plus, the dark comedy baked into this story balances out the weaker effects and makes it a strange but memorable ride. While it doesn't really fit the alien theme of VHS Beyond, Fur Babies still stands out thanks to its villain. It's not the scariest, and it's not the strongest, but it is unforgettable in its own twisted way. Dream Girl. Sliding into the number 4 spot is Dream Girl. Much like Fur Babies, this one bends the rules of the anthology a bit. It doesn't give us little gray aliens or slimy creatures from another world. Instead, it reveals that India's hottest new celebrity, Tara, is actually a cyborg hiding behind a human facade. At first, Dream Girl feels like it's dragging its feet. The setup is heavy on character work with the paparazzi photographers Arnab and Sonu, who spend the early half chasing Tara for juicy photos. But once Tara's secret is revealed, the story completely flips. This is where Dreamgirl shines. Tara's rampage is vicious and terrifying. She electrocutes, vomits acid, gouges eyes, you name it, she does it. And unlike a typical slasher, there is an uncanny charisma in Tara's performance. Namrata Sheth delivers every line with a mix of menace and allure that makes her character stand out. Thematically, Dreamgirl also digs deeper than expected. Beneath the gore and sci-fi horror, it comments on fame, exploitation, and the darker side of the film industry. That extra layer of meaning makes it more than just a bloodbath. Visually, Tara's design and the violence are striking enough that abandoning traditional found footage makes sense here. While its slow start keeps it from ranking higher, Dreamgirl ends up being one of the anthology's more thought-provoking entries, combining spectacle with social commentary.
Live and Let Dive. Now, if Dreamgirl went for subtle commentary, Live and Let Dive goes all in on pure chaos. This segment is brutal, bloody, and an absolute blast from start to finish. The setup is deceptively simple. A group of friends goes skydiving, but instead of an adrenaline rush, they plummet straight into an alien nightmare that feels ripped from the best creature features. Think The Thing in midair, with a touch of The Descent's claustrophobic terror. What sets this one apart are the aliens themselves. They're not just creepy, they're imaginative. These aren't your run-of-the-mill tentacled monsters. They have electric rods that peel faces off skulls, gnarly heads that open up to blast beams of light, and enough unsettling physicality to keep you glued to the screen. And let's not forget the gore. This segment doesn't hold back. From the crash aftermath to moments like Zack's hand being shot clean off, the effects are raw, visceral, and stomach-churning in the best way. Even the parachute reveal with Logan's head wrapped inside it is shocking and unforgettable. What's impressive is how Live and Let Dive takes a familiar aliens hunt humans trope and injects it with fresh energy. In less than 20 minutes, it delivers the kind of scares, tension, and creativity you'd expect from a full-length feature. It's violent, it's terrifying, and it firmly earns its spot in the top 3. Stork. Coming in at number 2 is Stork, a segment that takes one of horror's most overdone genres, the zombie slasher, and completely reinvents it. At first glance, it looks like a standard outbreak scenario. A special squad has to take out a house full of brooders. But Stork quickly reveals it's playing an entirely different game. The brooders themselves are terrifying. Babies twisted into bird-like monstrosities, undead creatures that refuse to stay down, and body horror that pushes the limits of what the franchise has done before. And then there's the Stork itself, a grotesque alien creation that blends sci-fi and horror into something entirely fresh. What makes this segment stand out isn't just the design, but how it's shot. The body cam footage from the officers adds a sense of immediacy that pulls you right into the chaos. Every swing, every lunge, every monstrous shriek feels dangerously close, like you're in the middle of the squad. It's found footage at its most effective. Unlike some segments, Stork wastes no time. The action starts fast and doesn't let up, but it still manages to unravel a deeper mystery about the aliens and the very authorities tasked with fighting them. That balance of constant tension and slow burn intrigue makes it one of the most polished entries in the anthology. If Live and Let Dive re-energized an old trope, Stork outright revolutionized one. It's bold, it's inventive, and it's relentlessly terrifying. Only one segment managed to top it.
No, please, no.
Stowaway. And finally, the crown jewel of VHS Beyond. This segment isn't just the best of the anthology. It might be one of the best horror shorts in years. The story follows Hallie, a curious investigator played by Alana Pierce, who sneaks aboard a UFO after sightings in the desert. Inside, she discovers something far more terrifying than little green men. Nanomachines designed to heal other life forms. At first it sounds almost benevolent, but the reality is horrifying. The way this segment builds tension is masterful. It doesn't rush. Instead, it lets you live in Hallie's shoes. Her excitement, her awe, and slowly, her dread. By the time the machines begin transforming her, the horror hits with devastating impact. The body horror is grotesque, but what lingers even more is the existential dread of being rewritten by alien technology, losing everything that makes you human. And then comes the emotional gut punch, spliced footage of Hallie's daughter, reminding us of the life she's losing as she's consumed by this transformation. That tragic undertone adds a devastating weight that most horror shorts never reach. What makes Stowaway nearly perfect is how everything ties together. The sci-fi concept, the practical effects, the pacing, the emotional core. It's slow, yes, but every second builds toward a finale that sticks in your mind long after the credits roll. Stowaway doesn't just scare you, it haunts you. It's chilling, heartbreaking, and absolutely unforgettable. No doubt about it, it earns the #1 spot. Our nerdy thoughts. VHS Beyond proves once again why the franchise continues to thrive. It takes risks. Some segments miss the mark, like Fur Babies with its offbeat humor and weaker effects, or Abduction/Adduction weighed down by its framing role. But then you get gems, like Stork and Stowaway, which push the boundaries of what found footage horror can be. What really makes this installment special is the focus on aliens. From grotesque creature design to subtle commentary on humanity's flaws, each segment explores extraterrestrial horror in unique ways. It's messy at times, but that's what makes it exciting. You never know what kind of nightmare you'll stumble into next. If you're a fan of found footage, body horror, or just want to see how creative anthology horror can get, VHS Beyond is worth the ride. And that's our ranking of all 6 VHS Beyond segments, from the weakest experiments to the absolute standouts that might go down as horror classics. Whether you loved the raw chaos of Live and Let Dive, the twisted reinvention in Stork, or the haunting tragedy of Stowaway, there's no denying this anthology gave us some unforgettable nightmares. So, which segment was your favorite? Did Fur Babies freak you out more than expected? Or are you still thinking about Hallie's terrifying fate in Stowaway? Drop your rankings in the comments and let's get nerdy with it. Until next time, stay spooky.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.